Hello everyone. Today's lesson we're going to deal with simple past versus past progressive tense. We're going to have a closer look at both tenses to know how to use them and when. When do we use each tense? For the simple past tense, there are different usages. The first one is when talking about action that happened in the past and is over, done, or finished. Examples: Tom went fishing last week. Number 2, I worked until 2 p.m. yesterday. My family came to visit me last year. Time expressions frequently used with the simple past are yesterday, last, past dates such as in 1990, in 1985, and ago. Of course, these expressions are like signal words that we can use them with the past simple. We use the past continuous for number 1, an action that was in progress at a specific point in the past, or when focusing on an action that continued for a long time in the past. Examples: At 2 yesterday, Tom was playing soccer. Sophia wasn't home last night when I called. I think she was working. Lisa and her husband were visiting us last week. Here are some reminders about how to make the simple past and past continuous. The simple past structure. Structure English has 2 types of verbs in the past tense. We have regular verbs and irregular verbs. I need you to have a look at the following list of past tense verbs. I want you to tell me which verbs are regular and which are irregular. The verbs are taught, walked, studied, gave, became, cried, lived, and did. The regular verbs are walked, studied, cried. The irregular verbs are taught, gave, became. Of course, as you all noticed here, for regular verbs, we use ed after the verb. That's why we call them regular. Example: When I was a child, I played the piano. Donna lived and studied in Paris when she was young. Here, as we all noticed, that play is a regular verb. That's why we added to it ed. Lived and studied are the same. Of course, you should be careful with the spelling changes. For irregular verbs, we use the correct past tense form in positive sentences. Unfortunately, these forms must be memorized. There is no rule that you can apply here. We cannot give you a certain rule to apply for irregular past verbs. Examples: Last week, I sent you a letter. Sent is the past of send. The students gave a speech in English. They did a great job. Gave is the past of give. Did is the past of do, but there is no rule that we can apply here. All we can do is to memorize the past tense. One more thing we should keep in mind when talking about the past simple is the forms of the verbs to be. we should remember that the forms of the verbs to be for the simple past tense with I, he, she, it, we use was. With they, we, you, we use were. For the simple past in the negative form, for all verbs except the verbs to be, we should use didn't, plus the simple form of the verb. Examples. Sarah worked yesterday. The negative form of this is Sarah didn't work yesterday. They had an argument. They didn't have an argument. Here you should notice that after didn't, we use the simple form of the verb. Sam took classes last year. Sam didn't take classes last year. Number 4. I learned how to sew. I didn't learn how to sew. Also notice here that after didn't, which is the negative form, we didn't use the simple past. We used the simple form of the verb, which is learn. For the verbs to be, we never use didn't. We simply add the word not after the verb. Examples. I was tired. The negative form of this is I wasn't tired. She was here. She wasn't here. They are happy. They are not happy. So as you noticed here, with the verbs to be, we never use didn't. We only add not to the verb to be. With the past continuous, don't forget that the verbs to be are part of the past progressive structure. With I, he, she, it. Take was plus verb ing. You, we, they. Take were plus verb ing. Examples. My mom was trying to call me last night, but I wasn't home. Of course, here my mom is singular, and with singular nouns we use was. The kids were studying last night at 9. As we all notice here, the kids is plural, so we used were. I was cleaning my house all day yesterday. The negative form of the past continuous. For the past continuous negative tense, we simply add the word not after the verb to be. They were arguing last night. They weren't arguing last night. She was yelling at me. She wasn't yelling at me. So as you all notice here, we only added not to the verb to be, which is was or were. Important note about past continuous. We need to notice that some verbs are not typically used in the continuous tense. Instead, we prefer to use these verbs in the simple tenses, which is the simple present or past. These verbs are called stative or non-action verbs. Here are some examples. Want, like, love, hate, know, need, see, hear, believe, understand, have as possession, forget, remember, and belong. Examples. We say, I like drum, but we cannot say, I was liking Rome, since like is one of the verbs that cannot be used with the continuous form. She had a headache, but we don't say she was having a headache. We also say, I knew the answer, but we don't say, I was knowing the answer. sometimes we might use the simple past and the progressive, the past continuous, together. And we do that to mean that one action, which is used in the simple past, interrupted a continuing action, which is the past continuous. Examples: Dan burned his hand while he was cooking dinner. In the middle of cooking dinner, Dan burned his hand. So one action interrupted the other. Example number 2. When Helen called, we were having dinner. In the middle of eating dinner, Helen called. We have some exceptions, of course. Exceptions when adding ed. When the final letter is E, we only add D. Example, the word love. As you can see here, the word love ends with E, so we only added to it D. After a short stressed vowel, the final consonant is doubled. Example, admit becomes admitted. We double the T. 3. Final L is always doubled in British English, not in American English. Example, travel becomes traveled. We double the L. After a consonant, final Y becomes I, but not after a vowel. Example, in the word worry, we change the Y into I, and then we add ed. But play, because the Y is preceded by a vowel, we do not change it into I. Exceptions when adding ing. The first exception is the silent E. The silent E is dropped, but doesn't apply for double E. If the E is doubled, we don't drop it. Example, come, we drop the E and we add ing for it. But with the word agree, because it has double E, we don't drop the E. We only add ing. So no changes are on the word agree. Number 2. After a short stressed vowel, the final consonant is doubled. Example, the word sit becomes sitting. We double the T. Final L is always doubled in British English, but not in American English. Example, the word travel becomes traveling. We double the L. 4. Final IE becomes Y when adding ing. For example, lie, we change the IE into Y and we simply add ing. Now, we have some exercises on the simple past and the past progressive. Put the verbs in the correct tense, the simple past or past progressive. When I get up yesterday, the sun shine. It is a beautiful morning. So I decide to cycle around a little. I go to the shed and take out my bike. While I cycle past some villages, I see some people in their gardens. One man mows the grass while his wife picks strawberries. After 1 hour of cycling in sunshine, a big fat rain cloud suddenly appeared, and it started to rain. Luckily, a farmer noticed me and told me to come in. While it rained outside, I wait for the rain to stop in the farmer's house. After a while, the sun came out again. I thank the farmer for his hospitality and move on. The answers, of course, are: when I got up yesterday, the sun was shining. It was a beautiful morning, since we are describing a past action here. So I decided to cycle around a little. I went to the shed and took out my bike. While I was cycling past some villages, I saw some people in their gardens. Of course, here we used was cycling because we had, as we said, signal words such as while. So with while, we used was plus the ing verb. One man was mowing the grass while his wife was picking strawberries. After 1 hour of cycling in the sunshine, a big fat rain cloud suddenly appeared and it started to rain. Luckily, a farmer noticed me and told me to come in. While it was raining outside, I waited for the rain to stop in the farmer's house. After a while, the sun came out again. I thanked the farmer for his hospitality and moved on. That was our lesson for today. I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. And remember, next time when you deal with past simple and the past progressive, try to look for signal words and clues that might help you. Thank you and good luck.